we use. If you look at the share screen, I have the same account on both instances here, and we're just going to show the method that we want to start using when we're defending during bombs, and then I'll kind of show you like some benefits um from like a base rating perspective and stuff like that. But um I'm gonna go ahead and drop from this banner tag, and then I'm gonna need you to send me an invite. So let me,
Did you message?
yeah, I'm gonna DM you real quick. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I left the alliance, so I need to make sure that I'm completely gone. There's my other. All right, so I'm out in both accounts. So you guys can see here, I'm out in both instances out of the banner, out of the maps banner. Now, what's important here is that in this current position of this keep, they're at T2, and when we drop out of banner, we're trying to get attack screens, right? So again, this was a map C. Let me click on the C. Oh, she's actually under me, so I don't think that's gonna work quite as I'd like to. Let me see if there's any other seat that we're holding. Uh,
Only ABS has got a 2.5.
yeah, that one
Mavericks
can't be
holding the
attacked. Could you get a seat? Yeah, I'll grab a seat with my other account. Give me 1 second. Is this one under Jedi? Yeah, it's also under Jedi. And then Obi is Princess Leia. Pretty much all my other secondary keeps are under this account too. So let me see if it works actually. I'm gonna test it.
Hey, this is Bet. I'll just grab a seat right now for you.
We need it in Mavs. I was just gonna do a demonstration with Mavs. So
Okay.
then we have the elk rallies going and all that.
Gotcha.
If you
So
want, I can apply to you if you want with my account with me. In,
is there
so
a
we've been.
T4?
I can be in your if Messi here,
Well,
so
let's
she
see if it
can.
works. Let's see if it works like this. It's actually a good way to test it. So I'm gonna accept in just one of the screens. So both of these are out a banner, right? So I'm gonna accept on just one of the instances. Where is it here? Okay, perfect. So this account should be back in banner. Let me check to see. Okay, so she's back in banner. Let's see this instance here. I can still attack it. Perfect. So it still worked. So if you see in this and a reinforcement march, in this screen, I can attack it. You can see the difference. It's still the same account. It's a Jedi WAP account, but we have two different ways to send reigns. In this account, I believe I put it already in defense gear. So when we send attack reigns, we want to, and the reason we call them attack reigns is because you can send an attack march to the seat. So again, the T2 dropped from the banner, and in order for this to work, the T1 has to send an invite to the T2, and the T2 accepts it in one of the screens, just one of the screens. The other one, this one's the one that's glitched out, the one on the left. You do not want to click your profile. Do not click your profile. The only thing for this screen is you're just going to send marches. That's the main thing that you're doing in this screen. Now, anyone under that T2 line that dropped, as long as they follow the steps, they will also have a glitched out screen. I personally recommend having two instances, whether it's a computer and your phone, maybe two phones, but you want to have one that's glitched out and one that's still actively in the alliance, right? The one that's actively in the alliance, you can change gear, you can port, you can do all sorts of things like it's like your regular account. And then the one that's glitched out will stay glitched out as long as it doesn't restart, as long as it doesn't, as long as you don't, click on Bannerman or anything like that. It should stay glitched out the entire time. Now, for the attack screens again, or the attack reigns, in this particular kingdom, we're using them as spams. And here's the benefit. So from this screen itself, let's say I'm trying to send a rain, March. Let me do it without dragon. All right. So if you guys notice in this particular screen, it's gonna take me 11 seconds to get reinforcements to the seat. So if I'm spamming this march with, let's say, as a spam march, as a VPN march, for example, that's a spam march. It's gonna take me 11 seconds each time. On top of that, you're adding the VPN, so it's adding lag. Now, if you do the attack screen here, it went from 11 seconds to 7 seconds. If you notice there, so let me pull this up. Right, I'll save that. So we're talking about 4 second difference to the seat, and then 4 second difference back from the seat. So you're saving 8 total seconds between these two types of marches. Obviously, when we're spamming, we want to get the marches to the seat as quick as possible. So it's far more beneficial to use the attack screen than it is to use the regular screen or a spam VPN. Any questions so far? So this is the method that we do want to use going forward. Therefore, asking you to spam the seat. You can also have a glitched out screen if you only have one device. When the T2 drops, as long as you make sure that that screen glitches out, when the T2 accepts the invite, your screen will look like this one on the left. It'll look like you're at a banner and you're going to be able to send an attack screen. But you can't look inside the seat, right? So when your march lands, so let me send the march here. When your march lands, it's gonna look like you're gonna have to look at it from this standpoint. You see how it reinforced? So it was attack march, it reinforced. So then once it gets in the seat, you have to look here, see how many troops it got in, and if it got in a small march, then you send it home. Right. So if I'm spamming this seed, if I'm continuously spamming it, I would be sending just continuous like marches, spamming when the bomb is going. Right. Just keep sending, keep sending, keep sending. And then the moment one march gets in, I have to check if it's small, I send it home. And hopefully one of the ones that's behind will then reinforce, like this one, for example. Right. And because there's pending, there's a very high likelihood that one of your marches that's following or behind will get in. So you always want to make sure that you're pulling your own march. We do not want seat holders to be kicking marches. They will the screen, because of the pending and the lag, the screen will if you're not in maps, oh it's kit. I was gonna say if you're not in maps, that's gonna be that's not gonna go in the seat, but yeah, so because of the lag, the screen jumps around too much for the seat holder, and they could potentially kick a base train from the seat, and we don't want that. So we want to make sure that the people that are spamming are pulling their own march, right? Let me send this home. Now, here's another sort of by the way, we always want spammers to send in defense gear. Um Always. We do not want you guys sending. I know sometimes people want to, try to get as big of a march as possible, and they'll try to put like march size gear or march size reinforcement gear on, and then try to switch last minute. The problem is once your march gets into seat, if you don't switch in time, it's in the wrong gear already, and it's basically gonna melt that march. So I'd rather get 2 different spam marches of 200k than one march 400k that's in the wrong gear, right? So it's better to have the 200k in the correct gear at that point. And in the way we have it set up, we usually will not slot out. We typically have less spammers than the actual slots to the seat, so that should not be a worry ever. All right, sorry, let's see. Okay. So another benefit here is for like base trains. Let me go ahead and switch my gear here. And I'm gonna do march size with drag. Actually, it's this one. And it'd be this one. Defense. And this one. All right. So let's say you're resetting base and one of the base wants to put in a big march. If you saw in this instance was where I did all the switching of the gear. And now this one is where I'm gonna actually send my march. Right. So I'm gonna do attack. I'm gonna do dragon. And I guess I should have said, but like if you look here, I'm sending 605 troops to the seat. If I were titled, I'd probably, if it was like a seat where I can send the titled march, it'll probably be 700, sometimes even 800 K troops to a seat to reinforce. So I send it and it'll land and it'll be 600 out of 1 star. All right, should be in. It's in 605. Now, if I were to send just my regular setup, which is this one, that's my march size reinforcing with dragon from this screen, I could only send 464. So, that's 150k less. This is the recommended gear when you're reinforcing with dragon. This is the recommended setup, the recommended council, the recommended dragon pit gear, right? So with the recommended, I could only send 464. But doing it the glitched way, again, you can send 6, I think it was like 605. Right, let me do it one more time. All right, we're good there. $605. All right, so obviously you'd want to have extra troops. By the way, base can also have a glitched out screen. When I base with Jedi, I do have a glitched out screen just for this purpose. If I want to try to fit more reigns in a seat, I'll do it with this screen. It takes me a little bit longer to set it up, but it's worth it because you're able to get 150, sometimes even 250 with title, more troops than a regular march. I think in theory we might be able to 2 keeps. You doing this way with big march sizes, you can probably fill like a 1.3 with titles, 1.4. Yeah, I think you're 1.4, 1.5 with just 2 keeps. Any questions on that? Sort of the benefits of that as well. Okay. So again, if you're an attack rain, you want to have a glitched out screen. You want to be sending and defense gear. And then once we bring the screen or the banner, not the banner, but the T2 line back in banner as a spammer or attack rainer, you want to start asking for attacker titles at that point. You want to be asking because at that point, especially using the attack screen method, your march will go up by like 200k, maybe 250 depending on what your march size is. So yeah, so you'll definitely want to get an attack title, and at that point, I don't know if obviously we were all there or most of us were there for when Kingsguard was defending at Storm's End. There was sending a ton of these attack rains, spam rains. A lot of these were titled, so you can bet that they were sending each one of these spammers had 400k in their march, and all it takes is 2, maybe 3 of these to save a seat. Even though we're sending 12, it only really takes 2 to 3 marches to get in there pretty full, right? And it saves a seat. It's not gonna go anywhere. So make sure you're asking for marcher titles after that if we have them. If we're out of marcher titles, start asking for troop defense titles as a spammer or attack reigns. Let me see what else. No, feeling march. And that's pretty much it, guys. Like, as a spammer and attack range, you guys are pretty much responsible for saving the seats at this point. Like, I know base like is there, but if we can get 2 to 3 again, like spams to get in during these bombs, you're gonna save the seat. Like, we're not gonna lose it. And again, just make sure you're pulling your march. That way we don't have the. I was in the wrong gear there. Let me go back. Defense. So let me double check this one. All right, 7 seconds. Cool. All right, just wanted to double check. So I'm gonna send it again. So as a spammer, one of the most important things, guys, you're sending these marches. And the moment you get a march that goes in the seat, you're probably gonna start seeing red on your screen or red reports, or if you have this cleared here, you're gonna start seeing like reports showing up here. Right, you'll start seeing reports, so that's a great indicator that your march went in. At that point, you want to go ahead and if it's a small march, you want to go ahead and pull it. And that's it. So you're sending. The what we're doing now is if it's 30k or below, then you pull your march. If it's more than 30k, you're gonna leave your march in there. You pull, and then one of the other ones gets in. This one's gonna get in. There it is, and then hopefully it's a full march there. All right. Any questions regarding this glitch? I can do it again. Tay, are you still here? Sorry, I can't see you.
Yep, still here.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna come back. So again, I'm at a banner here. If I click Bannerman, it should bring me back into because I still have the attack screen. There you go. I click Bannerman and it brought me back into banners. Now the glitch is gone. Now I can only send a reinforcement screen. Right. So again, this is we're doing the same account, 2 instances. I'm gonna go ahead and drop from banner. I've dropped. And then once I drop, if you're like this is a T2, if you're like a T3 or a T4 under this line, you want to make sure that you're completely gone. So you want to click here. I'm still in Mabs, right? And I want this screen to get glitched out. So because I'm still in Mabs, I want to click banner. And then it'll go to the glitched out screen now. I'm no longer in Mabs. And now this one's going to be fully glitched out.
One question. You can see your glitches account. You don't have any year. Which one will apply when you will be there in the reigns?
It's going to be this one, the one on the right.
Sure.
This is
Have you
the one
tested?
that's yeah. So we've tested it. The one on the right is going to be the one that because this one's the one where you're going to change the gear. This one's the one that's going to be active. So it will reflect the gear that's on the screen. The one that's not glitched out.
I changed the year in the other one to it's in the with the preset. I don't check the profile, but in the preset I check the preset, so my dive have a year. I don't know if it's is it right or no. That is why I'm asking. But I do it
Yeah,
for secure.
yeah. So, well, that's why I like using two screens. If you use one though, like if
No, I
you only
used
have one
to,
screen,
but in the glitching device, I also use the preset to lower to take the year on.
you click it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that should still work. It's still gonna show nothing here
In
because it's
mind, when
glitched
I
out.
do in mind, I switch between one or two till being getting the one that I need.
Until it shows up. Yeah, that should work. Eventually it'll register. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the
it's
way
still
I
glitched
do.
out.
I
Yeah,
switch
that's
the preset so I can get the right year.
yeah. So, but again, this one. So what when you do that, I will say this: when you do that, you're basically in a way making this the glitched out one the active account,
Mm.
and by active I mean that any sort of presets that you move after this are going to be in this account unless you start doing movement and presets here
Yeah, I
again.
do in both, just to be
Yeah,
sure. It's the only thing there.
yeah,
That
and
I
eventually,
wasn't.
like after you click this one back a few times, then this one becomes the active account. So
Mhm.
just to know, like you can do it in both if you're just worried about it not showing. You can have it in
I was
defense
asking
here.
because I didn't know. I'm doing this way, but I didn't know it's needed to know. It's not needed. It's better. It's easier.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can do it if you want to be, rather safe than sorry type of thing.
Yeah.
Um I hope it's didn't lag out. Okay. Here you go. You click again. Click back
Yes,
here. You
I
should have
switched between so
there we
you
go.
can get the right one.
Yeah, you can do it on both screens, but again, it takes the game a little bit of time for it to register which account is, quote unquote, the active account.
Hmm.
But ultimately it will register if you have it in one of these in your main account as the gear, defense gear. It will register that you're in the right gear.
Okay.
Basically, this screen is just being used so that you can send an attack march to the sea.
Hmm.
That's the main purpose. But let me come back in banner on this one. Okay, so this one's in Mavs. Let me click on the seat. So the seat's in Mavs, perfect. And then I can send only a reinforcement march here. Again, 11 seconds. And in this one, it's 7 seconds. So there's a benefit just from seconds alone. It's more beneficial to be sending attack screens than spams at this point. All right. So I think that's all of it in regards to attack screens that we want you guys to do or focus on. Try to apply this glitch. This glitch will stay on one of the instances. Again, it will stay as long as it doesn't restart or you don't click on Bannerman, right? I think even if you click on the house details or information, it might actually
Yes, you can go
reset it.
inside. As far as I've done, you can change, heal the dragon. If you want to be a step deeper 5, you can check second everything. You can save the report, whatever.
Yeah,
Just don't
you'll
touch the
start getting
profile.
reports. You'll definitely start getting reports. Now, here's the interesting or the thing that I do. Again, this one will be glitched out the entire
Yeah,
time on
game.
Sunday
I
for me,
do.
right?
Yeah, I do
And,
too.
and yeah, like you don't need the T2 to constantly be dropping. You just need them to
Mhm.
drop, get your screens, and you leave one of these instances glitched out, and you're pretty much set for all of Sunday. Again, as long as it doesn't restart. Now, let's say that we're defending a bomb here, and then I need to port to let's say I'm porting let's just say I'm porting to River Run. So now I'm gonna defend River Run, right? I'm using this instance or this device to port so I can spam. And this one automatically has ported, right? Because it's the same keep. But this one will continue to have the attack screen for River Run. It'll continue to have it. You will not need the T2 to drop again. It will still have it. A great indicator is right here. We see here it's the invite from the T1. It's still showing up as 1 here, left of your profile picture. This one does not show it. So that's a great indicator of knowing that it's still glitched out. And when I come here, this screen will be able to send an attack screen to the seat already. Okay, so I think any questions when it comes to the attack reigns before we move on to base reigns? And again, guys, this is the preferred method now to defend as a spammer / attack reign. We're using the attack reign glitch as a way to spam the seat, right? You could also spam the seat with VPN, but the VPN not only is you're creating extra lag in your keep, but you're sending it as a reinforcement march. So when I showed you earlier, the reinforcement march was 11 seconds. The attack march was 7 seconds. So by doing the VPN method, your march is slower. It's going slower to the seat. Okay. So I don't see any questions in the chat regarding attack range, so I will move on. So for base reigns, let me go back to the seat where Gingy was. I saw her port. Maybe she thought we were hitting her. Maybe. Oh, Casey has one. I don't want to bother Casey. What was Gingy? I forgot. There it is. All right, I'll port back where I was. I think I was here. Okay. So when it comes to the base reigns, it's important for the base reigns to get marcher titles to make sure that they're setting the right amount in the seat. We typically want 3 base reigns, no more, no less usually. And currently we're doing all 3 troop types. So we want 1 infantry, 1 cav, 1 range. Sometimes we will, change that up if we don't have enough, for example, range. We might do 1 infantry and 2 cav. But typically we do want to use all 3 troop types. Again, they ask for march size titles. Once they have them, they're gonna go ahead and send to the seat. Let me just send one of these. Let me try sending a big march. Oh, here we go. All right. Sending. So once the march is in the seat, should show. There we go. Then we're gonna have once the march is in the seat and the base is set, if we need screens for dives, we will drop the T2 line, from banner. We take about 30 seconds to get the screen. It shouldn't take you more than 30 seconds as an attack reign to get your glitched out screen. So just be ready. And then we're gonna come in banner. Once we come back in banner, that's when base should start asking for their troop defense titles. So make sure that if you're a base reign, make sure that you have some sort of a DM communication with the seat holder that has a good troop defense or troop health title. You're going to constantly be asking them for that title when you're defending. So you want to have communication with them. You want to um you want to make sure that you're the one responsible, because whether it's the person leading BC or the scribe or anybody else that's doing a role, sometimes they're focused on too many other things to tell you or to remind you to get a troop defense title. If they can, they will, but you know, for me, base range should own that. Base range should be asking for troop defense titles once they have a big march in the sea. There are times where we might have them keep their marcher title on. Typically those situations are when we're not sure, if they're just rolling on a seat versus bombing a seat. In that case, we might keep the marcher titles on. But if we know they're bombing for sure, then we want troop defense titles um on the base. And there it was, I want to say maybe like, I want to say like 6 months ago, I'm not quite sure, but at some point they doubled the benefits of all the titles. So let me see. So I think this one was I know for sure this was less. So now it's 198. So that's an amazing amount for a base defense to have, right? Um so yeah, so you want to make sure like you're in communication with the seat holder and they're titling you. If you're a seat holder that has those seats and knows that you guys have really good defense titles, you have to be aware of that and be ready to title when they ask. It's a team effort here in order to make this happen. All right. So for base, you want to be using your best defense marcher and dragon when you're defending bombs. If you're not defending bombs, let's say it's you're just filling a seat. Let's say you're defending a bomb and the people left, Paper Coalition left to bomb somewhere else. As a base ring, you get your marcher titles and you fill the seat just with your second best marcher at that point. You want to keep your best hero and dragon available for any seat that's getting bombed, right? The rest of the seats that you're filling up, you're just making sure you're putting troops in with your second, third, fourth best marcher just to keep them full. Let me see. Okay, so for now, the what we're trying to do is have the base defend in dragon defense gear. Um, basically, when we're getting bombed, it's a 10-minute bomb. The majority of the time, and we want to try to keep the dragon alive during that time. And then when dragon rallies hit, have your dragon be as close to 100% health as possible before your dragon rallies. So then when when the dragon rallies hit, you're gonna take them in defense in dragon defense gear. And then once you take the dragon rallies, you're gonna quickly switch to defense gear, right? And then once you switch to defense gear, so let's say I have a march already in the seat. I'll be in dragon defense gear. All right, so I'm in dragon defense gear. So somebody's gonna call dragons. Dragons are gonna hit. I like to have this clear so I know exactly when the rallies came in. So I have this like this. Somebody's gonna say dragons are coming in or dragons, right? And then I'm gonna start seeing reports here. It's gonna be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Once I start seeing like reports, I quickly go, and by the time this applies, the dragon rally's already hit. Then I come and check here. And if my dragon is not dead, let's say it's at 25% health, I'll just click the heal button once. If it doesn't apply, I'll click it one more time. If it doesn't apply again, then I'll just leave it like that. You do not want to be spam healing it constantly. Do not do that. That's very expensive. I do not want anyone doing that. if you're able to heal it, like if it actually the heal goes through, now you have your dragon all the way to 100% health. You're in defense gear, and so you're in your defense gear. Your dragon's fully alive, and at that point, you're taking the rest of the bomb, in your with your dragon alive, and your reigns become very difficult. If you're a base rank, keep, you're with high defense already and health, all that, the dragon adds even more to that, and your reigns become very difficult to clear at that point. Your base reigns. If let's say you were in your dragon defense gear and you start seeing reports, so you switch to defense gear, and then you come here and your dragon is dead, then it's good. It's all good. You're already in defense gear. Your job is done as a base defense. You have nothing else to do. You've already switched to defense gear. You're going to take the rest of the bomb in defense gear, and that's it. It's only when your dragon is alive after your dragon rallies, and you switch to defense. You check. Oh shit, it's still alive. Okay, cool. Let me try to heal it. If it gets full health, you just come out. You're already in defense gear. Your dragon's 100% health, and your troops are going to be very, very strong for the remainder of the bomb. Eventually, depending on how many rallies there are, eventually it will die. But let's just say that for the next 70 rallies in that bomb, your dragon stays alive, and you're adding a ton of troop defense and troop health to your troops during the first 70 rallies, right? So it's just going to make it very difficult for it to clear. Any questions with that? Frankie, I'm not putting the Night King. What are you talking about? So the troop defense, dragon troop defense gear, there is some value to it, but it sort of depends on what your objective is. So in a bomb, especially if we're not getting soloed too much, right? In this kingdom, we're not getting really soloed too much ahead of the dragon rallies. We do want to have the best dragon survivability gear when we are taking the dragon rallies. So if we were, for example, in a kingdom where they were soloing the seat a lot, then at that point I would consider potentially having one or two pieces that are better for troop defense, because there's so much volume in the solos that it might actually make a difference to having more troops survive from these solos, right? But if you're in a kingdom like this one where they're not soloing that often, then having the extra troop defense when it comes to the solos isn't as much of a factor. At that point, it's more important to try to keep the dragon alive during the dragon rallies. And if it does stay alive again, and then you go to your dragon pit, after switching to defense gear, you go to the dragon pit and it's alive, then and you heal it, then you're golden. Like it's going to be very difficult to clear those reigns. And I think the key for this, either way, guys, whether your dragon survives or not, after dragon rallies, you want to make sure you switch to defense gear. Now, there is times where the bomb will come in all together. There won't be dragon rallies ahead. It'll just be dragon rallies and then the regular bomb at the same time. When that happens, just listen for the communication from the lead to tell you to just go to defense gear. You can usually tell when that's happening when you see a bunch of marches and a bunch of pawns going towards the seat at the same time. If it's dragon rallies, there's usually you see, maybe 5 or 6 march lines pop out first, and then you'll see more after that. And you can tell that there's time to switch. But if you see a bunch of lines coming at you at once, then you want to defend in defense gear. At that point, you won't have time to switch. So you want to make sure you go straight to defense gear in that situation. That way you're not caught out of gear and you're defending the fence, and you know your dragon should still survive in that scenario for a decent amount. Also, I do want to share there is some cheap healing gear that you can use from time to time. Let's say somebody is soloing this heat before the dragon rallies. Again, the bombs are usually 10 minutes. Sometimes people will start soloing to try to kill the dragons around the 5-minute mark. Um, so we do like in this keep in particular, we have a preset here that has these pieces: the Winter Survivor headpiece, chest piece, and ring. And they offer this dragon health regenerate that basically saves you gold when you heal your dragon. So the reason I have this set up here, I do have this piece because it's the best defense piece for infantry, so it still offers sub troop defense and health titles, or troop defense and health stats. But basically, when you're healing in your cheap healing gear, you want to make sure that you have dragon defense, but no dragon health bonuses. So this piece has dragon defense. This piece has dragon defense here, and no dragon health. And then the council as well. If you look at it, we have this one here, dragon defense. This here has dragon defense, just these two. So when I quickly switch to the cheap preset in between solos, I can come here, and that's, I mean, if you want to do it really, really cheap, you can get it, come in your armory, remove the one piece from these two armories, right? So the dragon health bonuses are not reflecting. And then you'd switch to this preset. You come, you heal, you go to dragon defense, and then you put pieces back. So if you can time the healing in between the solos, you could probably do the healing in like somewhere between, I don't know, 5 to 10 seconds, depending on how quick you are. And then you cheap heal your dragon, you're saving gold. And you're just making sure that it's, you know, close to 100% health before the actual dragon rallies hit. So I always recommend having if you're going to be a base defender and you're going to be defending with your dragon, I always recommend having a preset like this to save you gold. Again, you do not want to be spam healing your dragon. That's not what we want. It's just very expensive. I'd rather you just stay in your defense gear at that point, let your dragon die, stay in defense gear, than spam healing. All right. Any questions regarding the base defense? No. Okay. Let me move on. All right. So for seed holders, um, what we're trying to do is, obviously, they have a very important job, and they have a lot of things to do, but we want to make sure that once the base is set in the seat, that they're removing 2 pieces of rain cap gear. So let me go to my rain cap gear. Right, so they're fully in the rain cap setup. And once the base is in and everything's good, then we'll have them just unequip. Unequip. Right, oh, this one went straight to that one. Should not be happening. Let's see, unequip. Oh, let's try this one. That's fine. All right, so we unequipped. So it basically brings down the rain cap to, I want to say maybe 150K less than the capacity. I know before we were doing like we were going to like full like defense gear before the bomb hits. The issue with this is it brings the cap down too much. And when the bomb starts hitting, if you're not able to switch because of the lag and the pending, then the cap stays at around 800, 900K. And we're not going to be able to really save the seat at that point. So when you remove just a couple pieces of gear, right, you just remove just a couple of these, then worst case scenario, the cap goes from 1.4 to 1.25, right? And even if it lags out, it's fine because we still have enough capacity to be able to hopefully save the seat and hopefully have some spams in it. So that's what we opt to do too. Let's say they start soloing a lot, or let's say there's a team that's rolling on it while there's another team that's bombing. In that case, we might have to remove another piece, right? So we'll remove another piece from here, and then it'll bring the capacity down more. And then there could be a point where we decide to refresh and send some base trains back in the seat if we have enough time. Obviously we have timers, so if we have enough time, we might have to go back full cap, refresh the seat, and then go back and remove the pieces, right? You basically reset the seat. Now, once the bomb is coming, so you're going to stay in this gear. About 2 minutes before the bomb hits, we're going to start spams. So spams are going to start going. They're going to bounce off the seat because there's not enough room. Then the dragon rallies are going to hit. Right after dragon rallies, we're going to say, we're going to call dragon rallies. Boom, they hit. And then the lead should tell you full cap. So as a seat holder, that's your indicator to go and just click here. Just click it. If it doesn't load, like if you go and check and it didn't quite load correctly, then you just go back and click it again, right? Just keep clicking it until it loads correctly. If it doesn't load correctly, that's fine again. We still have a big enough cap, hopefully, to save the seat. What you do not want to do is if it's not loading and then you decide to click on another gear, let's say defense gear, and then click this, that's a no-no, that because it could get stuck in defense gear, and now you brought the seat back down to like 800K, and we're probably going to lose it at that point. So again, you remove a couple pieces, the dragon rallies hit, boom, boom, boom. They call full cap in the seat. You click here, and whether it loads or not, it's fine. Hopefully it does.
I click the profile. I think it's less glitchy instead of preset. You remove 2 pieces, and when they say to go to take on again, I do here then the profile. So immediately you have the gear on.
So click on this, you're saying?
Yes, I'm ready there. I'm waiting there. So when they say, I click there and it is load.
Yeah. You could do that as well. You could definitely do that as well, guys. So this accomplishes the same thing. So if you're here, right? So you're and then
you're waiting there.
It'll load it. So that's a good way to, let's say, if this doesn't work and it's not reflecting, you could technically go here and try clicking here, see if this one will load. But again, you do not want to click any other ones, because then you're bringing the cap down. So yeah, no pressure, but it's important. You guys have a big job. Okay, so once you guys so you can switch. Okay, so if you guys have 2 devices, let me go back in Banner here. All right. So if you guys have 2 devices, what I would recommend is for one device to have an old school, like March. I think I already have a March in here. That's why it's not letting me. Yeah, let me kick it. So if you're the seat holder, let's just imagine I'm the seat holder of the seat. And I will have this March. Let's just save it. Set up. Like it's right now. So the way to do the old school range glitch, when the base defense is resetting the seat, there's gonna be space in the seat. So you can have a screen up in one device, then click these 3 bars on the right here. And then when you come back out, this screen will stay. Then the seat will get filled up by the base. So there'll be no room in the base, but this screen will still stay. You'll still have the ability to send this as a seat holder, as like a Hail Mary. So what we did sometimes with defense is we'll have the seat holder have this screen ready, right? This is gonna be your active screen. You're gonna remove the pieces. You're gonna remove the pieces. So dragons hit, we're gonna call full cap in the seat. Boom, you switch. And then we're gonna, this one should be ready to bubble, right? So you're gonna have this one ready to bubble. And then we're gonna start calling rains down. And we're gonna say 1.4, 1.3, 1.2, 1.1, 1 million. After we call out, let's say 1 million, then you send, that'll be your cue to send this March. So you go and you click it, and then you still want to have this one ready to go and bubble, just in case, right? And the reason it's called a Hail Mary is if we get down, let's say to like 500K, and we're not bubbling it, or 600K and we're not bubbling it, and then most of the bomb already went through, there's a chance that your Hail Mary March that you sent as a seat holder will then get into the seat, and because you are a seat holder, you're able to send a really big March to the seat, right? So this is actually less. You'd probably be able to send like 500K, and then the range might go from like 400K or 500K to all of a sudden 1 million. And you do want to stay in your rain cap gear though. You do not want to, if your March gets in, you do not want to switch to defense. You're gonna take it in rain cap gear. You're just filling the seat with troops. You're just making it a little bit harder for them to clear at that point. But yeah, so you want to just send it, and hopefully it saves the seat in a scenario where maybe we don't have a bomb or a bubble anymore, right? So we can't bubble. So you have this screen, and maybe the seat gets down to like 200K, and then this March gets in, and then you save the seat at that point. So again, the way you do this as a seat holder, you want to make sure that when your base is resetting and there's a lot of room in the seat, you're sending a reinforcement march. All right, where's my dragon? There it is. Then you come here, click the 3 lines, come back, and the march is going to stay. That's going to be ready for you to send. Any questions with that? And why we would do it? No? Okay. All right, so for seat holder, again, we do not want you kicking marches as a seat holder during the bomb. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility at that point is if you have a bubble, you have to have your button ready on the bubble button. But you should not be here trying to kick reins. You should not be in the screen trying to kick reins. As a seat holder, that is not your responsibility. Spammers and attack reins, they need to pull their own marches. As far as bubbling the seats, that'll kind of depend on the seat itself. Sometimes we might say we're gonna bubble at 600K, sometimes at 700K, sometimes at 500K. It just depends on the seat, you know. Like a 3-star, we might say 500K. At a 4-star, we might say 600K or something. At KL, we might say 700K. I don't know, some crazy thing like that, but it just sort of depends. The higher the cap, usually, the more we're sort of able to raise that amount. And then the last thing is, if you are a seed holder, after the bomb, you can help reset range. If you're sort of, if you're experienced in that and resetting reigns, again, we need to get a little bit better at that sometimes. So as a seed holder, you should know which keeps are the base defense keeps that are, that need to get titled and fill the seat to get set up again. So you should already know that after the first bomb. And then once you're helping reset reigns and you're kicking marches to get the base rings back in, you want to make sure that the march or the first march that you want in, like let's say it's Jedi and you want that march in, let me just send it in. So we have it in the seat. Okay. So let's say you want Jedi's march in first, right? And there's a bunch of spams that got in. There's still the 2 other base that are there. If this is the first march you want in, you want to make sure that they're the first ones you kick, because that way they have their march back already, ready to send. Then once they're ready to go, they'll tell you they're ready. Then you want to make room. You kick another couple marches, whatever room is needed, and then they can send. Once they send, it's back up to full. Then you kick the next base, and then you wait for them to get ready. Then you make room. They send, and then the last base gets kicked. So on and so forth. If you do it in that cadence, you won't run into issues with base. What I've been seeing is that sometimes, let me send the march again. Sometimes the base will try to reset, or the seat holder will try to help reset the seat. And let's say they kick abs out of the seat, and then they kick someone else out of the seat, and then they kick someone else out of the seat, thinking that they're making room for Jedi's march to get in, but they still haven't kicked Jedi's march. So now the seat is at, let's say, 800K, and they'll tell Jedi, okay, Jedi, send. So then Jedi pulls. So now the seat went from 800K to 500K, right? Because their march was not kicked to make the room. So now, they're sending, but if we get caught in between resetting these reigns, we're gonna get cleared. It doesn't take much to clear 500K reigns. All right, I hope that made sense for everyone. That's pretty much the end of defense training practice, best practices. I hope it was informative and helpful for everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. Paul, thank you very much. There's loads of new stuff and advanced stuff there for me, so really appreciate you taking the time to take us through it.
No problem. No problem at all, guys. Appreciate you guys showing up.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you guys.